My name is Priscilla Tyler, and home for me is in Lake Tahoe, California. The wildfires. We've woken up kind of year after year, multiple times, with ash on our sinks and smoke in the air and crazy apocalyptic skies. I definitely think that these changes I'm noticing personally are due to kind of bigger forces here. The climate crisis as a whole is contributing to these kind of mega fires that we're seeing more consistently, and just every year get bigger and bigger in acreage and destruction. Right now, I wouldn't say I've thought about leaving the area, but even more, I think, significantly for me is where I want to settle down in my life long term. And I would have said moving here that this was a place, California, San Francisco Bay Area, more so the mountains up in Tahoe these days, would have been a place that I want to settle, maybe build a home, have a family. And now it's in the back of my mind that I don't even know if that's going to be possible. So I would definitely say that these natural disasters and the scale of them have contributed to me questioning kind of where I want to be long term. I work for an early stage venture capital firm called True Ventures, where I focus on investing in climate tech and sustainability investing. In terms of my investing, I look at climate tech as a pretty wide umbrella for me to tackle and try to make change. I'd say that there's a few areas that I have spent a bit more time in and have gone deeper in. I think kind of food innovation and food waste is one. Carbon accounting from an enterprise perspective and a consumer perspective is another. Energy for sure. Supply chain management, definitely a really large market, and then probably natural disasters and disaster relief is the one. I think startups are an incredibly exciting way to tackle the climate crisis as a whole. I think startups are agile, they start off small. This avenue in terms of investing from a venture capital perspective and other avenues is really exciting in the sense that there's just a lot more money flowing into the space. And as I said, these startups start small but don't have small visions. And that to me is what's most exciting. They're governed and built by founders with the right morals and values and a passion to make a difference and actually make a change. I started in the venture world as a generalist investor. I was looking at kind of a range of different industries and sectors. But the threat of impact was really the kind of foundation for me. And I could see myself just getting more and more excited and vibing more with founders trying to make a positive impact. And above all, it was the climate space that really spoke to me. It was this collaborative community of people trying to heal our planet and better the lives for everyone and society as a whole. So that was a big kind of inspiration and how I found my way into spending all my time in climate investing. And then on the other hand, my partner was a big inspiration for me. He's a wildland firefighter. Just seeing his day-to-day and the fires he's been tackling year after year getting bigger and bigger, it's a pretty intense way to come to terms with how far we have to go to heal our planet. Probably natural disaster, and for me, wildfire has been a really heavy space of interest by investors. We've seen just a crazy number of founders building companies to tackle these large-scale natural disasters. And equally a number of investors that are willing to commit capital to these companies. I'm also seeing, personal friends and coworkers be negatively affected by these and being forced out of their homes time after time and year after year. So my perspective is more related to wildfires, but obviously this is happening in various other geographies around the world and around the country, and with different types of natural disasters, coastal flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes. So I absolutely foresee this being an issue with historically people not paying as much attention to the climate crisis and building homes and other buildings kind of in the path of these natural disasters. I think climate migration could be an interesting market. I think probably there are various avenues within climate migration that investors and venture capitalists could tackle. I think building materials is one, just making sure that if you are still building in paths of natural disasters, you're at least building with more sustainable options. On a larger scale, I think the climate crisis is definitely coming into focus. I tend to be an optimist and try to have as much kind of hope and just optimism in terms of humanity actually believing that this is a crisis and coming to terms with it. We've seen, 2019 was a huge year in terms of just getting this all out and these stories out. I think Greta was a massive part of that, and hats off to her. I think the climate marches and just seeing the next generation, acknowledging it, but not even acknowledging it, going much beyond acknowledging it and actually fighting and building solutions for it, gives me a lot of hope. And then obviously from a career perspective, just seeing more people spending time in the space, more people building solutions from an entrepreneurship standpoint, and more people investing in them. It's really, really heartening, at least for me. But we have a long ways to go. I think in terms of solving the climate crisis, everyone has a stake here. The biggest thing that we can all do, as investors especially, is continue to look for the high impact companies that will scale, because those are going to be the ones that ultimately make the biggest difference. And that, to me, is how we do tackle this climate change crisis. We're seeing so many negative results from these natural disasters in the form of climate migration. And I think that as an investor, you always, your eye is always on the next big market. Unfortunately, this looks like a big wave due to what's going on. And so I'll always be, looking out for solutions to climate migration from an investment standpoint. From a personal standpoint, I'm thrilled that Earth Refuge is telling these stories and showing that this is happening. And I'll continue to do my part as an investor and a consumer, and I'm thrilled that you guys are as well.